Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first episode of the REN Weekly Podcast. What we're going to be doing here every week is I'm going to be picking out some topics and some stories out of the news that I feel like talking about, I have some opinions on. This week just so happened to have some opinions on some UFC news, some MMA news. So every week might be a little bit different, but this week you get to listen to me rant about some UFC news and watch some gameplay of me and my return to the game of UFC 4. I'm actually in Blue Water Fight League and MMA Gaming. So anyway, I got some stories this week, and one of the biggest stories for me is this Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane coming up on March 4th. Now, Jon Jones has been saying that he's going to come to the heavyweight division since, I think, 2011, 2012. He's finally making his debut, fighting for the title. You know, Francis is out of the picture. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what kind of Jon Jones we're going to have. He's been out of the ring for a few years. If he's going to have cage rust, if his speed and fluidity and fight IQ is going to translate to the heavyweight division, because we know Ciryl Gane's skill set is striking. You know, he's not going to have the wrestling, and is Jon Jones going to do to him what Francis Ngannou did and take him down, beat him up for 5 rounds, secure the title, you know, win by pointing him, and basically what I'm doing to Jon Jones right now. And yeah, talk all the crap you want about it. It works. I got the dub. But anyway, so what do we do in the event that, well, either one of these guys wins? You know, if Jon Jones wins the title, are people going to say, well, he didn't fight the world champion, he has a paper belt? You know, are they going to say the same things if Gane wins? Oh, well, he couldn't beat Ngannou, so he beat Jon Jones, so it's not a real title belt. You know, these are things that no matter who wins, they're going to have to carry over them for the entirety of the reign. And I don't know if that's ever going to subside until after Ngannou is completely out of the picture. And by that I mean retired or comes back and loses. Who knows how this is going to affect the legacy of the belt going forward, because he never got the chance to truly defend it. You know, he beat Stipe. And then now this debacle. You know, Stipe never got his rematch. Who knows how this is going to affect the heavyweight division going forward? Where does it stand right now with its contenders? We have a lot of fighters that have won and then have coming off a lot of losses. We don't have a lot of guys coming up. You know, we have the card coming up on February 4th. Lewis versus Spivak. We have number 7 Lewis. Spivak is ranked number 12. Lewis is coming off hot and cold streaks. You know, he can't string together a whole lot of wins. Spivak is number 12. So even if he wins, where does that land him? Is he a contender? If Lewis wins, I'm not sure you can throw him right back into that contender pool. And after that February 4th card, we don't even have another heavyweight bout, you know, until the Jon Jones card, until March 11th. So on February 4th, we have Lewis and Spivak. We also have Marcin Tybura, who's number 10, facing Blagoy Ivanov, who's 14. So everyone knows those guys aren't going to be contending for the title anytime soon unless they string together another couple wins after that fight. So after February 4th, we don't have another heavyweight fight that's ranked until March 11th, and that's Volkov versus Romanov. Volkov is 8, Romanov is 13. If Romanov wins, that gets him inside the top 10 maybe. You know, if Volkov wins, does that really catapult him over, you know, Curtis Blades or Pavlovich or Stipe? You know, the heavyweight division is not moving around a whole lot right now. You know, you have 3 guys in Blades, Pavlovich, and Stipe. And I almost believe, I really do believe that you have to give the title shot to one of those 3, no matter who wins. If Jon Jones wins, this is his debut. Why would you give Gane another title shot? Why would you give him a rematch immediately? He already lost to Ngannou. Then if he loses to Jones, why does he get a third title shot? If Gane wins, well, this is Jones' debut again. So why would Jon Jones get a rematch in a division that he just moved to? That doesn't make any sense. Not to me, anyway. You can let me know what you think in the comment section. So let's go over the 3 other contenders that I pointed out. We got Stipe, Pavlovich, and Blades. Right, so you got Curtis Blades. He's coming off of a 3-fight win streak. He's got his last loss was to Lewis, actually, in 2021. He's already fought Ngannou in 2018 and lost. So, and he's also ranked below Stipe and Pavlovich. So I find it difficult to leapfrog Curtis Blades over the other 2 fighters. I mean, is he a contender? Yeah. Is he the next in line? I really don't think so. You guys can let me know what you think. I think that at some point he will contend for a title. He's, I wouldn't say he's not new, and he's also not getting up to retirement status just yet. So if he can get another win over a top guy, I see him staying in the title picture and, being a contender for the title at some point. And then you have Pavlovich, who currently is ranked right below Stipe at with number 3. He's got a recent win over Tuivasa, who I feel is probably getting towards the end of his career, honestly, because he's been on a skid lately. He's hot and cold, and then he's just been losing more than he's winning. But Pavlovich is also on a 5-fight win streak, and his last loss was to Overeem in 2018, and that was 5 years ago now, and 5 years is a lifetime. His skill level from 5 years ago is completely different. He beat Tuivasa pretty soundly, and the guy's a good fighter. I feel like, if they weren't to give him the next title shot, I don't know if that I would argue it. I also don't know if I would be for it. I don't know if I'd be pushing, for him to be the next guy. But he's a real possibility and a good choice for the next title shot. Depending on it doesn't matter who wins between Gane or Jon Jones. Pavlovich, I feel like would be a good fit and a good matchup against either one of those guys. He's tough. He's a big guy. He would be another true test for Jon Jones at heavyweight. That also brings us to Stipe. Stipe's been around a long time. We know that. His last loss was to Ngannou in 2021. But he's fought the best of the best. He's 9-3 in his last 11 fights. His last 3 major losses were Ngannou, Cormier, which he avenged. He came right back and won that fight, or the second fight. And he lost to Dos Santos back in 2014. And let's not act like Dos Santos wasn't a monster back in those days. Dos Santos was knocking out everybody when he came into the UFC. Stipe has come a long, long way since 2014. We all know that, and he is still very capable and a huge threat to anybody at the heavyweight division. He's arguably the best heavyweight of all time. I mean, me personally, C-level Kane. I feel like you almost have to give it to Stipe, no matter who wins this title shot. He never got his rematch against Ngannou after that loss, and I feel like this will be like a ceremonial rematch to give him the title shot. Because let's face it, time is ticking on his career. He's been in the UFC for 10 years. I just don't see any other options after the fight with Gane and Jones. You have to give this Stipe, no matter who wins. I mean, the heavyweight division, like I said, isn't moving around a whole lot. A lot of guys sitting at the bottom of the division, and the guys at the top division just keep fighting each other or flip-flopping with each other. So the only real option out of this is Stipe. And then you go, Pavlovich versus Blades. for the next fight. And again, we don't have another heavyweight. Oh yeah, I got the dub. We don't have another heavyweight fight after March 11th. There's nothing scheduled. So after Volkov versus Romanov, who's fighting? Who do we know that is even stepping up and wanting to advance through the heavyweight rankings? I mean, March 11th is not that far away. You know, we have some events scheduled all the way up until Izzy and Pereira too. But there are no ranked heavyweight fights on those cards. So who knows what we do or where we go from here. Speaking of Izzy versus Pereira too, that's one I'm looking forward to. If Izzy fights like he did those first few rounds, and doesn't let up, I feel he's got the tool set to beat Pereira. I don't understand what his game plan was in that first fight, but he let him stick around. He basically wore himself down fighting for 5 rounds. He almost knocked him out at the end of the round, and he comes out and he just lets him recover. He lets him walk around. He runs from side to side and doesn't attack. And then he gets him on the ground and rides him, but doesn't go for the kill. So either Izzy just didn't have the killer instinct in him that fight for whatever reason. I really don't know. I don't understand his tactics on that fight. And he just let Pereira come back and beat on him, and was an early stoppage. I'll let you guys debate that, but me personally, Izzy wasn't getting out of that. It was going to get worse from there. But these guys, these fighters, they're warriors. They don't want you to stop the fight, but you have to look out for the fighters' best interest and their safety, because these guys aren't going to do that for themselves. I mean, they're in there fighting, so you think that they're going to try and keep themselves safe, and that way they're just going to give up. They think because they're getting beat up, they want to stop. No. They're going to fight until they fall. And I know a lot of fans, a lot of people watching the sport, expects that to happen. But as a referee, as a promoter, you can't let your guys go out on their shields like all the time like they want. These are investments. You have to protect them, protect your money, and you can't fault Dana White and UFC for protecting their guys. But we'll see what happens in April. Yeah, I feel like Izzy has the toolkit to get the job done. I'm not a big Izzy fan myself. I think he's a little bit cringe. But as a fighter, he's one of the best in the world. And, I think if he gets out of his own head and prepares, and if he doesn't prepare to die, and he is prepared to kill, I think he gets that win. If he can't, what's left for him? Does he get another rematch? Does he fall down the rankings, work himself back up? There's always light heavyweight for him. He can move up. He's a great fighter. He can do anything he wants. He can move down. As for Pereira, I would have liked to have seen him move up to fight Jamal Hill. That's interesting. That's a fun fight for everybody. But we'll see what happens. I can't wait. We'll see what happens come April. I guess here's a fun story. Well, funny story to end the cast. Joseph Holmes has been jumped by Kevin Holland. I don't know the story behind these two. It happened XKO 60 in Dallas. It's a local show. Apparently, Holmes was there supporting a fighter, cornering him. I'm not sure. He was leaving the event with his girlfriend, had to go back in to get his clothes that he changed out of. And as he was going up the stairs, and kind of coming back down the stairs, he was confronted by Holland. Holland grabbed his arm. He told him, "Get your arms off me." There were some words exchanged. And before he knows it, he's getting a punch in the back of his head, and there was a scuffle on the staircase. He came out on Twitter told the story via Twitter video. It's pretty crazy. You guys, maybe I'll link the Twitter, the tweet down in the bio. Maybe I'll link the tweet down in the description. But since then, Holland has come out and not really defended himself. He hasn't really justified the attack. He basically just said UFC won't let him fight Holmes because Holmes, I think, is 1-2. He's not really highly ranked. But he said he put $20,000 on sparring. Why? What is it that you guys are up to? What are you into? Why don't you have a legitimate beef with the two of each other over something? Because it doesn't sound like Holmes knows about the beef, whatever it is. And a bit of other news, Jake Paul is finally fighting Tommy Fury. It's coming up this coming weekend in Saudi Arabia, I believe. And from what I'm hearing, picking up on Twitter, is that if Tommy Fury does back out, Mike Perry is going to be his replacement. That'll be wild. I almost want Tommy Fury to back out so I can see him fight Mike Perry, because that dude is crazy. 100% certifiable nutball. I mean, entertaining. I will watch Mike Perry talk on the microphone and make a fool of himself all day. Wow, Overeem just got knocked the hell out. But the dude can fight. The dude's got hands. If you haven't seen him in bare knuckle, I highly recommend that. So that's really all I got this week. Did you guys happen to watch the Royal Rumble this weekend? Did you see Logan Paul put in an absolute performance for a little bit of time he was in it? Don't really care for either Paul brother. I like Logan a little bit more. The spot that they put on where they springboarded from end to end and collided in the middle of the ring, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. Hell of a spot. I really enjoy watching Logan wrestle. He's definitely found his niche where he belongs, and I hope to keep watching him in WWE. That's about it for this week, guys. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for joining me and listening to me rant for about 20 minutes or so. I'll be back next week with some other sports news. It could be entertainment news. It could be basically anything I feel like ranting about. So hopefully you'll stop back and join me for another rant session. Until then, take care of each other, be kind, and of course, rewind.